Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. This is your girl Syn, and this is Life with Syn. And today we are actually doing a makeup chit chat. Get ready with me. I think I did a makeup routine, but I didn't really do like a chit chat. And this is going to be a chit chat, and we're going to just dive into it. I got some. This is a Nars video. I got some Nars Foundation, some new Nars Foundations, and I felt like why not come on here and kind of show them off. So they're kind of like a trying out. I've had this for a while. I've been working on this for a while, but I just recently picked this one up, and so we will chit chat and talk about some things while I do my face. I did my eyebrows off of the camera because I was starting to try to see if I could get better at doing my eyebrows, and I did it with like an eyebrow powder type thing, and I think they came out pretty well. I told you guys that the eyebrows take forever, and you know, they never turn out to be twins. They always kind of be like big sister, best sister, whatever. And so yeah, and so we're gonna play in some eyeshadow as well. Not sure, but we're feeling these oranges here, so I could pick this up from I gotta pause because I forgot the most important thing. I will be right back. Okay, my computer literally just died. That's what I had to run downstairs and get. I'm using that as my screen as well. So let's get started. We're gonna chit chat, and it's just random stuff. It's not like pertaining to me or anything like that. It's just random stuff that I've been seeing on social media. And if you see me look down here, my mirror is here, so don't get it twisted. But anywho, let's just talk. So yesterday, I was on Twitter, and this guy wrote up and said, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend need to keep some things private. Let me grab my cell phone so that I could get into the tweet, and then we could talk about it, because this is kind of a let me aware some people kind of stuff, you know, your thoughts, you know, you're into. My phone has been blowing up like consistently with it. And so I was like, so Chrissy Teigen said, I told you all we had a miscarriage because I thought that was what it was, but it was an abortion, and we were heartbroken and grateful all at once. It just took me over a year to realize it. And so, you know, with the whole story about abortion rights and all that stuff happening, you know, and the abolition of Roe versus Wade, we're seeing a lot of people talking. We're hearing a lot of things. People are sharing their stories. So I said, when the guy was like, you know, they need to shut up. Yeah, he was like, Chrissy, you and John Legend need to let some stuff stay private. And I said, nah, as women, we need others to talk about it so we can educate, especially women of color. And then somebody was like, correct, but with Chrissy's history, she shouldn't be the one. And I feel like, and somebody said the one who went through it shouldn't be the one to talk about it. And so we're going to talk about that. Because I'm going to tell you something. Representation is not only in beauty and, you know, and fitting into fashion. Representation for Black women should be a global transition, whether it is infertility, drug abuse, all the extra shit that other people are going through should all be on the spectrum for everyone to talk about. And the reason is that we don't represent Black women in a positive way when it comes to fertility. We represent Black women by saying that like, you know, oh, she having too much babies. Oh my God, they having this, or oh my God, they having these abortions. But I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of Black women were never taught how to get pregnant. I'm being real honest. We using the Nars, everything that I'm using, if you're interested in, will be in the description box. I promise to put it down there. Okay. I know. Sorry, I had to free up some space. We're using the Rare Beauty Selena Gomez. I pumped a bit on there, and we are going to discuss representation while I put my foundation on. So let me just say this. We don't have representation. I remember when I was in my 20s, when I got my breast reduction done. Those are things that aren't like easily accessible, right, to minorities as much. Especially when you are a minority who probably needs health insurance, because that is considered a cosmetic surgery as well. And if you don't have the money to pay for it, you tend to, you know, don't know how to get it, and you live with boobs that are like really, really huge and so forth. So by being able to go to a great doctor and being educated on the risk of having like heavier boobs on a smaller body and all that back pain that I'm experiencing now years later is the cause of having the breast reduction. Now that I have the breast reduction, my body does not feel as bad as it did when I was younger. And so let's jump into abortions, and let's jump into other things like that. So like I said before, we are not told how to get pregnant. We're told how to avoid pregnancy from the day we have our first period. As any Black woman on here that's watching this or listening to me can attest to that. You've been put on birth control to prevent having a pregnancy. You've never been taught how to assess your cycle. You don't know what your basal temperatures are. You don't know when you are fertile. You don't know when you're ovulating. You know nothing of that. You know how you know? When you're trying to get pregnant and you cannot get pregnant. That is when you go to the doctor at your later years and start looking into things like, oh my God, well, we've been having sex. We're not protecting ourselves. We're trying for a baby and we can't get pregnant. The reason is because you don't know how to. Sometimes it's not about, you know, your health where, oh my God, my eggs are dried up, or, you know, there's some internal issue. It's all about not even knowing your own body outside of what you were taught to you. It's a learning cycle. 90% of Black women do not talk about infertility. 90% of them do not even talk about abortions, because the stigma on abortion used to be a bad, shameful thing. I've had an abortion. I was 24. No, I was 22. I was 22 when I had my abortion. It was a choice that I made for myself. And looking back at 44, I made the right choice for me. Because at the time, I didn't understand that I was going through postpartum. I didn't understand any of that because I had no knowledge of it. I didn't know what it meant. All I knew is that I didn't have attachment to my child for a few months. Like, I had to mentally reprogram myself to become attached to my son after having him. It was very hard. And it, you know, back then, nobody gives it a name. Nobody talks about it in the Black community. You know what we hear? We hear about postpartum and we think it's a white people thing. We do. So I've only put one shade on there. We think it's a white people thing. And when Chrissy Teigen, you know, mentioned about her and John Legend losing their baby, when you lose a baby in vitro, which is in the belly, if the baby dies in the womb, you have a certain amount of time before the baby rots inside of you and kill you, and all that toxins get into you. So what they do is they perform a D&C to like get out the baby. Depends on how far along you are with the baby. They give you an abortion to get rid of that said baby, because it can be harmful to your body. and you can die. That's what Chrissy Teigen was talking about. Whether or not it was from her mouth, I would rather hear it from someone who actually went through it, because you're bringing awareness to what is going on in your body and in the world today. Like, a lot of us, we don't have the representation. We lie, and we keep it a hush hush. That's why I enjoyed reading Gabrielle Union's book when she talks in her book, We Need Wine, We Need More Wine. I have both of them, and she made a point to talk about her struggles with infertility. And I'm gonna tell you what I've realized, that, like I said, we don't know about our bodies to say, how do we get pregnant? How do we, like, say if I wanted to get pregnant today, I would go to my GYN and I would tell her I want to get pregnant. And we'll start the process. We'll start testing, looking into my fertility, seeing if my eggs are viable. And then we'll go with what's the necessary steps to get to that place. I know that we're not using protection, but we're not getting pregnant because I track my cycle and knowing when, okay, you know what, we're not going to be doing the high sexual activities, or we might use the pull-out method. Hey, you know, it don't always work, boo. So for this one, I decided to bring out a little closer because we about to go. We put the concealer on, and I'm trying to see which one of these are brighter, if this is a little brighter, because I'm going to add a little brightness to the under eye. Like right here, in here. Yeah. Yep, this might be it. This will get a little brightness on there. So, you know, having a baby is by choice, but I feel like we got to stop telling people to stop talking. This is, when I was in my 20s, there's a lot of things that I wish was available, like information. I wish there was so much information out there for me to get, and I couldn't get it because there was no social media like heavily. And if you're in this generation where social media is there, take it for a grain of salt. Don't believe everything you hear or read in social media, but the awareness factor is like constant, right? It's out there. People are talking about sexuality. People are talking about sex work. People are talking about the Me Too movement. We wouldn't even know, or unable to identify. We're unable to identify certain things that happen to us, and we don't want to talk about it because of shame. The whole idea around all this stuff is shame. If I'm pregnant and I had an abortion, oh my God, it's shameful because society says abortion is wrong, it's shameful, and the Bible-beaten states say it. And so we always say, oh, it's shameful. When it comes to sex positivity, oh, don't be doing this, don't be doing that, because you know you're going to look like a hoe and a slut. Even with Chloe Bailey, she's out there showing her sexuality, and the first thing everybody runs to, and they be like, oh my God, this little girl, what's wrong with her? Why is she promoting sex? Why is she doing this? But it's not really that. It's about owning your own life. Stop living through other people's struggles, but understanding that they're bringing awareness to you. If you're dealing with it, if you're struggling with it, if you have some kind of connection to something like that in your life, you're able to process it and understand it, because not everyone is going to therapy for you to unpack your shit like me. I unpack my stuff. I've come to grips with, oh, you know, I decided to have an abortion at an early age based off of choice. It was my choice, and I made the decision to do it. When I got a little older and I thought of having more kids, I was like, oh, did my abortion make me not be able to have kids or anything like that? But come to find out, that was not the reason why. And I've had a DNC. I've had 2 DNCs because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and so in my uterus I get a lot of polyps. A lot of polyps happen to me, and so most of the time, like, my period was having these difficulties. I wasn't getting a good period, and then I started having so many different hormonal issues. And so I went in to see an oncologist, and she went in and she did the first round she did was a DNC. I think my very first DNC I had was at 23, and then the second one I had was at 25. And that was because of all the other stuff. So abortion isn't necessarily performed, like the procedure isn't necessarily performed to get rid of a baby, but most of the time it's to clean out that area of the uterus that is having like difficulty doing what it does. Like for me, I had polyps. Polyps can be cancerous. They're things that they hide behind tissue. They intertwine within tissue. And so sometimes you are having difficulty with your cycle and you have no idea, but I'm giving you the know. I didn't know that I had polyps. I had 6 polyps growing in my uterus, in the lining of my uterus. And one of them was hidden in the back of my uterus. And she was like, she took out all the rest of them. And then like a couple of weeks later, I was like, why is my period still coming back? My period's coming for 2 to 3 weeks back to back. And I went back to her and I was like, I'm still having the same problem. And she was like, what? And I went back, and when she went back in with the microscope, she saw that there was one in there that was hidden behind tissue. And she rushed me into surgery right away and took all that out, scraped out all of my insides and made sure that my insides were healthy. And she sent me on the way. Since I've had that surgery, I've been having a regular period. My body has been naturally doing what it needs to do, and it's painful because I have a fibroid, but things like that we don't even fucking talk about. We hear about it. We hear our parents or we hear other people talk about, oh, you know what? Yeah, they're having fibroids, they having this or whatever. But we were young and we didn't know what it was. We were just hearing, oh, my auntie had fibroids. Oh, she got a fibroid. And that's all we say. We nonchalantly like excuse it, but it's a serious thing that we as women have got to talk about. Like, don't be afraid to tell someone your journey because it might help somebody. Dadu Chic Rose on here, Haitian girl, she did her breast reduction recently, and I was so happy because I know how she felt with those big ass titties and that small frame. I was 110 pounds when I had them big ass triple D's, okay? I look a hot whopping mess in my eye, but to men it was like, dang, girl, them titties is fine. But to me, they don't understand how much hurt it was. I was in so much pain. And she documented hers. I didn't have that opportunity because I had mine done in September 23rd, 2003 is when I had my breast reduction. I did a talk on here telling you guys that I did have one, and currently I have 2 lumps in this breast, and I'm monitoring them, and I'll be going back to the doctor to get them checked out in December. I also have to get my fibroid checked because I've been having cramps in between my cycle, and so she's a little concerned by that because maybe the fibroid is causing some issues. So I am definitely getting that check, and I'm keeping up on that. So that's something that I'm like, you know, on board with like ASAP. Let's do some eyeshadow. Playing some eyeshadow. Let's play in some eyeshadow. Now for the transition shade, I know people use like a brownish orangey color, and I might use this one that called Cabernet. This is a palette I got from Marshall's, so don't even try to go look for it because you ain't gonna find it, honey. You ain't gonna find it. Now, can I tell y'all that I don't have no eyeshadow brushes or anything up here that I thought I did? But that's okay. We'll figure it out by the time I show you. This was a foundation chit chat get ready with me anyway, so yeah, we got fingers, honey. Let's do this. We're gonna take Cabaret and we're gonna put her in like the crease area. You hear the saying about what you call it? You hear the saying about women, the biological clock is ticking, and so you're like, that you think it's a myth. When you're young, you think it's like, whatever, there's no such thing as a biological clock ticking. But I'm gonna tell you, honey, it starts at like late 30s, early 40s. Mine was ticking real loud when I had turned 38, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't want no baby. Why am I thinking like I need a baby? That is not my thing. But yeah, your biological clock turns on and lets you know, like, oh, you know what? You might want to have a baby. And so mine ticked, but I ain't do nothing about it, honey. Yeah, so if you're in that area and you're asking the doctor about when you go to the GYN, here's something that you should also ask your doctor about when you go to GYN. So at 40, and me and my sister, we talk about this because my sister's 45, and at 45, as a woman, they give you your colonoscopy. So next year, I will be doing my colonoscopy. Then I was talking to my coworker. She turned 45 this year, and we were talking about it, and she was like, yeah, girl, I got to go do the colonoscopy. So if you're new here and you're gearing up to like be in your late 30s, early 40s, know that at 45, you are supposed to have a colonoscopy. I think they do it every 5 years, but don't quote me there. I'm not sure, but I know at 45, it's on the list. At 40, we talk about menopause, perimenopausal. I talked about that. Like I talked about certain things with my doctor as far as like menopause and stuff like that. She was telling me that, you know, it depends on when your mother went through menopause or your older sister went through menopause. More than likely, you'll go through menopause at the same time. So I'm thinking that for me, I will probably go through menopause in my early 50s or late 50s because my mom is in her 60s, her late 60s. And I do want to say she's probably went through menopause. I haven't asked her, but I will ask her soon because I would like to know. My sister is 45, so she's not in menopause yet, but she's perimenopausal. So we talk about things like my sister's like, oh my God, every time I can't hold my pee. And it's true, girl. You hit 40 and that motherfucker will twinkle, 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 little star down your vagina because you sneeze and the floodgates open up. I don't know what it is, but when you reach 40, it's a wrap, honey. It is a wrap, okay? You start pissing yourself. So you're going to need you some poised panty liners on a regular basis because that is what you're going to need. Just saying, just telling you out there so you could be prepared for it. You know, it's all about not being afraid to talk about things that are happening to you. Tell your story. If something happened to you and you feel like it's something that someone else should know, share your story with someone else. Yeah, like share your story because you never know who might be out there trying to learn about it. I'm going to put some lashes on and come right back. With that said, let me just spritz my face again with the Morphe. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me just kind of like give you the face. My makeup is getting better, y'all. It is. I can definitely see a difference now. The foundation that I used, and I didn't use the other one. And I might use that by itself because that is really dark. So I might need to mix that. I'm not sure. You guys know that I rave about my Vixen lashes from the Believe brand by Dollar General. I love their products. Like 90% of like some of my products I go in there and I get, but I love the lashes because I have hooded eyes. So when I put on like certain lashes, it like brings my eyes down even heavier. But with these, because I like that tapered in here, they bring up my eyes and it makes it look so good. This was the Nars foundation that I used on my face, so I'm gonna wear it all throughout the day, and then, you know, maybe I'll come back later and show you guys what I think about it. But I've been wearing it now for lots of weeks, like maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and I am enjoying the shit out of this. And I got it in the color New Caledonia, and I think once winter comes in, I can continuously use this. Before I try to get the Hourglass foundation, but it didn't do it for me and I had to take it back, and we ended up getting the actual Nars, another Nars. I'm not a big fan of this yet, but we shall see. So thank you guys again for watching the video. I hope you guys like the makeup look that I did. Yeah, so now I'm going to switch over and go and start to record my podcast. And like I said, share your stories. Don't fault the messenger for bringing a message. Listen to the message. Understand what the message is portraying or saying. Yes, Chrissy Teigen might not be the advocate. I think when we hear somebody of importance say something, we always stick that stigma on them and saying like they are the one that we should follow, but that is not what it is. She's speaking about her experience, about what she's discovered her situation to be, and she's bringing it out so people can see that this is what it is, and you know, not put shame on certain things. I feel like a lot of times we constantly try to shame people for their own experiences, their own losses, their own truth, and we shouldn't do that. So thank you again for listening, and I will see you guys back here next week for another vlog. So yeah, let me come closer. I'm digging my makeup today. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.